I wanted to talk today about depression. That a lot of us as wheelchair users, we have it. Even though I'm going to switch my camera over here a bit. There we go. So, depression. So, let's start by what is depression. And that is a chemical imbalance, a chemical change in your brain that drains you of energy, the willingness to do something, um, just that uh, joy of living, wanting to get up, uh, wanting to eat. It affects a lot. It affects our interactions. It affects how we care for ourselves. It affects um, so many. It permeates so many things in our lives. And so that's why it's important to stay on top of it. It's like having a really bad flu. And you could have a fever, I mean, with a flu, and just not want to get up. So if you're experiencing moods in which you don't want to get up, you don't want to make breakfast, you don't want to get dressed, you don't care about the day, you don't care about your mom, then you might be experiencing some depression. And that is important as wheelchair users to stay on top of it because we have so many things to take care of as wheelchair users. We work a little bit harder than the general population. So to care for ourselves, do daily life. So the sun is coming, so I'm going to put on my visor here so I don't go blind in the middle of the video. Okay, there. so, so anyway, depression, a chemical imbalance in the brain. So it is something that can be changed, but it needs some help. Whether it's counseling and a psychiatrist, counseling and connecting more with family, counseling and connecting more with society and support group. It really needs some help to be changed gradually. And if it is allowed to run amok, it's going to cause huge problems. Depression in itself can also affect your physical health and cause pain, cause headaches, cause other physical, your immune system goes down, you get more colds. So it affects you physically as well. So that's why I say it permeates everything. And it's important to get on top of it. And what kind of things? Now, it's normal for any one of us in the general population to become depressed or become sad a day or two. We're down or crabby. We don't feel much enthusiasm for anything. But that depression that goes on for more than a week, you need to pay attention to that. And you need to start considering a counselor and get on top of it before it's a runaway train. So that's why I'm saying, especially in wheelchair users, we have a lot of reasons to be depressed. Depression can be caused. Okay, what slaps the brain into that change, that chemical change? Usually trauma. And if you've had an accident and ended up in a wheelchair, or you, usually accidents get us into wheelchairs, or an illness that started creeping in, and you ended up in a wheelchair. Those things are traumatic because you had one life and then it slowly changed to another, or it all of a sudden changed to another. You were walking, you're going to school, you were working, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in a wheelchair. So trauma is usually what slaps the brain into that chemical change. And it's important to really, recognize it and say, I gotta get on this. So, and it's okay to say I'm a little depressed or I'm not willing to, but if it lasts a day or two, you can move on. You don't get spooked or worried about it. But after a week, yeah, you really need to slam on the brakes, find a counselor, and I will leave links in the description box of, you know, a few places you can go so you can call. Um, if someone is at that edge, if you're listening to this video now and you're at that edge where you have um, thoughts of suicide, not necessarily the urge, but thoughts of suicide, there is a hotline for that. And if you have the strong urge to commit suicide, there's a hotline that you can call. So this is important for you to, that's why I'm saying the earlier you catch it, the better you will be. And, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes you could be predisposed to depression, the trauma happens, and you end up snagged into depression. Sometimes the accident will happen, and then you get snagged into depression. So there are a variety of things that you can do to gradually move, gradually change that chemical imbalance back to a balanced brain, back to a balanced body, back to a sense of enjoying life, And you might be tired, you might be sluggish, but you're okay. You're okay with that. You understand that, physically we have to do a lot to get from point A to point B, getting dressed, taking a shower, it's those kind of things that, um, we really take longer than the general population. In eating well, self-care is really important. If you see yourself slipping on self-care, part of it could be, I don't care. If you start saying, I don't care a lot, then, you might want to stop and think, how am I doing? And it's good for any one of us, for all of us to do those checks. How am I doing? What could I improve? Do I need to go back to counseling? And yes, counseling can be repeated. You might need to do a fine tune once or twice a year, and then you're okay. But if you're struggling in let's say you had an accident, you ended up in a wheelchair, your situation at home is not doing well, your situation with your friend where you're living is not doing well, then you might need some counseling to figure out, how do you improve that, because you can't take on a bad situation on top of your situation and being in a wheelchair, because that'll cause depression in anyone. So you don't want to pile on any more issues. So I wouldn't do that, trying to rescue somebody else when you need to care for yourself. If you're strong enough, you're healthy, you're doing self-care, all that kind of stuff, okay, then you can help maybe one or two people, as you go along in life, of course. But if you're struggling yourself, then you need to slam on the brakes. It's important to be okay with life, to be okay in the wheelchair, and sometimes it takes time to be okay with being in a wheelchair and seeing the benefits of the wheelchair, not so much the incident or how you ended up there, but the good that the wheelchair gives you, because you can get around and you're independent. See what I mean? There's a difference. You got to separate the trauma from the object of the wheelchair itself. The wheelchair is just the tool that you are using to help yourself. It's just a tool. Doesn't change you. It doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't. Um, it's trying to give you actually, the power to, the power to. And the more skills you learn, the more wheelchair skills you learn, the better you will be, the more freer you will feel. So you might say to yourself, I'm still feeling angry about all this. And you can feel angry, but the faster you learn wheelchair skills, the freer you will be. So important to follow up with therapy, important to connect with channels like this one because we have skills that are posted there. So really important to catch up with those skills. If you're just, wheeling yourself and that's all you know, then you need to catch up with some. And I will be putting links in the description so that you can see the how-to of manual wheelchairs, power wheelchairs. And there's quite a few videos on my channel because I use a power wheelchair. So I put in as many skills as I can so you can kind of look for them and learn what you need to learn for your particular power wheelchair or manual wheelchair. So all of that is important to not become stagnant. The more you sit there and don't go forward, then there's concerns. It's really important for us to go forward, to start planning, to look at some goals that we want to achieve and work towards it. Work towards it. If you can only see darkness and you can't see the future, and that's also a good reason to go to counseling for a little while. So you can open that curtain of darkness and see the light. Truly. So this is a reflection. This is an explanation of what depression really is. And for you not to blame yourself or for others to blame you, you have to start being open to support, because it's very difficult to pull out of something like that without any assistance. Some people do it, but I'm recommending here that you seek counseling, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to your primary care doctor, and they can make a referral. That is a person who cares still about themselves. People say, "Oh, they're just crazy." It's like, no, I say those people who are not looking for help can be say that they're crazy ones, but those who are working on seeking help, seeking the support, trying different things, those are the people that I admire. Really. So if you find yourself in this situation, first is find a counselor. If you've never been to counseling, just say, I've never been to counseling, so I need some guidance in this, or find a psychiatrist. If you've already been predisposed to depression in your family, because it is genetic in some cases, then you really want to find some counseling and just say, I know my mom had depression, or I know my dad had depression, or my grandmother had, so know your family history, which is important. Know your traumas and what could have triggered this depression. So I want to leave this as a reflection for you to do a self-check in how am I doing today? How did I do yesterday, and how will I do tomorrow? It's really important to focus on today and tomorrow. Every day is a new day. And maybe something happened yesterday that, but today is a new day. And you can try things over again, do them better. Every day is a new chance to do better for yourself and then for others. Every day is a new day. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. I'll leave plenty of links in the description box so you can look at skills that you need to build up for yourself and feel more freedom to do things and be the best wheelchair user you can be. If you got this far in the video, congratulations. And thank you for watching the whole thing. Please feel free to give me a like or subscribe and to comment, share your thoughts, feelings, share the video with others, maybe a loved one who needs to listen to the video. And I will see all of you in the next one.